And I said, God, whatever you want to do with me, if you'll equip me, I'll do it. He brought me out of a rice field to a pulpit. From mud to a mansion.
Hey, everybody, it's good to have you with us today here on Mud to a Mansion. Man, I've got a special guest today. It's taken a long time to get him booked in here. He's busy on podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
He's a national, old brother Robert Randolph. He uses them all the time. He must pay him better than I do. I don't know, but
pays the same.
Pays the same. Okay, I bet I know what that is. Your contract. So, yeah, he's been so busy, but anyway, I had him come down and preach for me last night. So I said, let's do a couple podcasts or something. Let's do something this morning. So we're going to talk a little bit about Brother Randall and his ministry, just a little bit of his testimony. You'll find some help in this somewhere. That'll be something you'll be going through the same stuff and need some help. So maybe it'll be good for everyone to hear his testimony. And just thank y'all for tuning back in. And so Brother Randall Perkey, I guess I got to know Brother Randall, they as carpenters, him, his dad, and all them. So I met him through that probably, and he was going to church, another church up nearby, and we got talking about church. And next thing you know, me and Robert was at the same church, and we both ended up preaching, and Brother Randall surrendered to preach, and so we just all been friends for a lot of years now. I've been here 22 years, and it was more than that.
Well over that.
Yeah. So, but Brother Randall's testimonies, I kind of think some of the uniqueness I want you to talk about. And I ain't say unique, but it's different than a lot of us. A lot of us got saved when we was young, and it's just what it was. But you got saved a little bit older, and some people struggle with that, or some people may be lost at hear a testimony like that and see that there's still hope. But you've got a good testimony from. So how old was you when you got saved? I can't remember. I remember when you.
I was 25.
25.
When I got saved. How far you want me to go? With that?
Go with it, because I mean
I was
you
25
can touch
when I got saved, and now. When I was an 11-year-old boy, I fell under conviction.
Yeah.
And, kind of went through the motions like a lot of people do, and, just went through a lot of years there, won't fill in all that time, but living for the devil instead of for the Lord. But then at around 24, I was getting back in church, and I knew if anything was going to help me, it's going to be the Lord.
Yeah.
And then, sat in church for a good long while, and the Lord dealing with me the whole time.
Yeah.
And then at 25, I said, I've got to get saved. But it was getting over that I convinced myself I was already saved.
Yep.
And the Lord, it was just dealing with my heart that I needed to be saved. And once I dealt with the Lord on that, I never had that conviction again.
It ain't as hard as people make it, but like you said, that's what I like, is that you said getting over the idea that I really wasn't saved. We get enough religion that we think, well, and I know it's as obviously as easy as believing in the Lord Jesus Christ, but we've talked a lot about it lately. Even it's come up just in our world we live in that there's going to be a change. That ain't saying you won't sin. I did some awful things in my college years, and I'm ashamed of. But there wasn't ever anything I did in college that was sin. I knew at first. I knew it was wrong, and then at the end of that thing, I was convicted because I'd done God wrong, and I knew I was saved. I shouldn't have done it. This flesh is still sinful, but yours was on the inside. You just never had peace with knowing you're saved.
I never had peace, no. And I guess that's what the Lord was trying to show me. Now, through those years as a teenager, I thought I was saved.
Yeah.
I mean, I was, but I was not around preaching. I was not in church. I was not around the things of God, and I was involved in a lot of the things of the world. Yeah. And but then when the Lord began to bother me about, I didn't have peace in my life. Yeah. I didn't know it was not that I didn't have the peace of salvation, but the Lord has a way of just revealing it to you.
I always remember you talking about how you, a good family, mom and dad, and just a good family. It ain't like you was in a terrible environment. No, and you always said, and the things you did, and you're dealing with the law. Mm-hmm. I remember you saying that you got in that cycle, and it was a bad cycle, but one day you thought, there's got to be something better than this. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know it's because that's when it was, I guess when it's about 23, 24 right there, probably about 24. I actually spent like 30 days in the county jail down here in Independence County. And when I went in there, I mean, I'd had 4 DWIs, and man, I realized sitting in that jail cell, nobody preaching to me.
Yeah.
But I said, there's more to life than
There you
this.
go. That's a
More
story
to
I
life
remember
than
you telling
this.
before. Yeah.
And only thing I knew to do when I got out of there, if I was ever going to do anything, I knew the right thing to do was go back to church.
Yeah.
If I was going to get help, it's going to be in a church. And I put myself under that, and that's when the Lord
That was
showed
it.
me.
And everybody's got to get to that point. That's just because you go to jail don't mean you're lost or saved.
No.
But you knew there was something, and that like you said, God was speaking to you, and it's always, it's a blessing that you didn't do something worse or hurt somebody and end
Sure.
up. I mean, life could have been way different through that cycle, but that's what I always liked about you. When Randall Perkey got saved, there's a change.
There's
Now,
a change.
It's easier to change at 25 than it is at getting saved at 8, 9, 10,
Sure.
15.
Sure.
And then going through them teenage years and there's a Greek word I'm trying to think of, stupidity. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good.
It's probably Hebrew too, though.
Yeah.
It's stupidity.
And
But
English.
I did that. But yours,
Mm-hmm.
if you, I always say, if you condone sin, you're not saved. If you can go sin in any aspect and not have conviction about it, you just ain't saved.
No.
I mean, it's going to change.
Better bother.
But when that changes, you start growing and saying, "I need to stop that too. I need to stop that. I need," and yes, and that's what you did, man. You hit it, but you went all in when you got saved. You was at Corinth, wasn't you? Up at Corinth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then next thing you know, Brother Robert, your pastor,
Mm-hmm.
and boy, it went on a plateau then, didn't it? Because
Absolutely.
you got in and
Absolutely.
surrendered the ministry. What happened during that time when you and Brother Robert was together? That's when you surrendered, right? Or right before
I
that?
surrendered
That's right.
before Brother Robert came to be
I remember that
pastor.
now. Yeah.
And when Brother Robert come along, that's when I began to grow.
Yeah.
Boy,
did you? Yeah. Because I remember before, and I ain't gonna make it sound. I don't want to go to the point where it makes it sound like we're being nitpicky, but I remember talking to you before. Somewhere during that transition, you was saved, you was surrendering the ministry, and we didn't agree on everything.
Mm-hmm.
You was kind of going a more liberal road, I think.
I was.
Okay, that's what I thought.
was.
I remember me and you talking down Strawberry
Yep.
one day. Y'all was working on something down there, building something, and you could just feel that from our conversation. And then next thing you know, and I'm not beating up. I'm just saying where we stand now. You was headed kind of in a little different direction.
No doubt.
And boy, all of a sudden, you started to grow then. And then, gosh, we got to be best friends, and Brother Robert and all of us. So, all right, Brother Robert shows up, and then when he leaves Corinth and goes to Tuckerman, where did you fall in that deal? I don't remember.
But before he actually left there, about a year or so
That's
before
right.
he left Corinth, I went and pastored in Mountain
Mountain View. I remember that.
I don't even know. But I don't remember. About a year.
Yeah,
Something like that.
I remember it though.
And then, anyway, I don't know how far you're going.
Because I asked you, well, we'll just go as we've got a lot of memories. So,
That's why I'm saying I don't.
but
wanna
these are
go-
things that I think people can learn, can get some help from. One thing you said that I know you always, we call him RP, and old Brother Randall. Sometimes he says things and he don't even know how good it is, and then we start using it, RPism, I guess. But one thing I'll never forget, so you was at Mount View when we started going to Brother Derek's
Yes, sir.
school over at
Yeah.
Walnut Ridge at GBI, because I remember when you resigned from there. One night we was going to school in our little Jolly Red Ranger or your little Chevy, little
Yep.
red Chevy. We
Yep.
had them both too. It wasn't big enough it's just big enough for me and you and 2 King James Bibles. And
That's
that's
about
it.
it.
We had to put them behind the seat.
Yeah, probably.
We did. We'd roll the seat back up and set our Bibles back there. That's all we had to drive. yeah, we'd have to turn radio off to pass somebody. They didn't have no more power than that. But man, we had good times, and we'll get to them in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I remember something you said one night after you'd resigned. I just nearly tell you where we was at stoplight was at when I remember I said, Brother Randall, since you resigned your church, how you feel? And you said, well, it feels pretty good to actually only deal with my problems for a while.
Mm.
Now,
I don't remember that.
that's now as a pastor, as many years you pastor now, you know what you meant then was even in a year, you realize the pressure of the stress, trying to make this work, dealing with and that's now that's I've always remembered that and it helps me to stop and think, how does it feel for just a regular person to not deal with everybody else's spiritual stuff and all their problems. I ain't saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying that's just a stress that pastors, good pastors are under if they're really pastoring.
That's exactly right.
And so we started GBI. You lived at St. James or somewhere for a while?
Just out on Highway 5.
Yeah, and you would drive up to Lynn and meet me, and we'd drive our little jolly red trucks to school.
Absolutely.
Wonderful time.
I drive over 2 hours.
Yeah. And we was, it's funny right through there. We, on some of our trips. So one day, we was talking about yours, Steve. We had we pulled up down there at one of the lights down there in town, and some idiot was up next to us. That boom box going boom, 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 and old Randall sitting over in that little red Chevy he had, and boy, he turned some preaching up wide open, boy. And I'm sitting there going, oh my, and that dude's over there, boom, 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 and we're over here, some preacher just wah, 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 and I'm sitting in the middle of that, and then all of a sudden I've got my Coke. Drinking a Coke, I'm sure, some type of soda pop. And he just races that dude, like just squalls tires in that little rig in front. And I'm sitting there with soda all over me on my jacket. And he's red faced. You really showed him, yeah.
Oh, I showed
you
him,
did.
yeah.
I don't think we stayed up with him for long, but you showed him.
I tried.
And I remember going to school. Gosh, we had a lot of good memories. We was fired up, boy. We'd shout her out. And put them Bibles behind the seat and take off to class. And we got over, I remember one time over, that's when the old Ivoryville woodpecker thing was going around down in South Arkansas. And everybody, Ivoryville woodpecker. Somebody saw an Ivoryville. That's how boring life was then. I mean, they got a lot more to talk about now. But we're bringing it back up, the old Ivoryville. So, Ivoryville woodpecker. And I remember we was flying through there in your little truck about Black Rock. And I'll never forget, a big old woodpecker flew right down, hit the grill of your truck, just went boom. And you said, there went old Ivoryville. And I guess he may have ran over the last Ivoryville.
I may have.
So he's pretty, that's one thing you can chalk on your list. That's people ask, who are you? You say, well, I ran over the last Ivoryville woodpecker. So, but then I remember, so we'd just praise the Lord, man. We'd see some deer in the field, boy, and we'd drive our windows down, going to school, just Jesus in our heart. We were so fired up, and I remember your old deer out there, and you'd go, "Happy man!" at them old deer, boy, and them old deer heads would come up, and shouting at them old boys at Black Rock Quick Mart one night out there. They was waving at us. I guess they thought they knew us. Yeah. And boy, you went, woo! We was shouting at them, and they was looking at you like, what's that dude? What's wrong with him? So we had a lot of good times going back and forth to school. And we all loaded up in that old van over and went to Tennessee, that preaching deal, boy. Me and you and Brother Derek and Brother Robert and all of us.
That's good.
Man, we had a shouting time, didn't we? And I bought them candy cigarettes. I had them candy cigarettes in that with me. Somebody had bought me, maybe as a joke. And them boys in the back just laughing and carrying on. I said, y'all's going to calm down before we get through Memphis over here. I've done eat 3 packs of cigarettes. I was just eating them cigarettes instead of smoking them, I was eating my cigarettes. But so we went to GBI together, and then from there I guess, when did you end up with us as my assistant?
Around that time.
Was it?
Yeah, because when I left Mountain View, I don't remember how long. Just probably within a few months, I began to come to Maple Springs, and then I was here for a while, and then you church put me on as assistant pastor. Yeah, and was here for 5 years then. So
I know that was in 08 when we built the new building, and you was with us during that transition.
Then, probably 07.
Yeah,
probably 07.
Yep, I think he hired you right before we started this project, the other building over, and yeah, and man, that was some good times, and he was a good assistant because I didn't have to worry about anything. He's got your back, and he loves his church, and man, he fell in love with these people, and they fell in love with him, and it was just great. And then that thing all changed again, and well, you went and pastored, didn't you?
Went and pastored again.
Okay.
I went to First Landmark in Tuckerman.
Okay.
I was down there for a couple of years.
Yep.
And
that was about the time that somewhere through all that's when Brother Robert went to. Well, you were still my assistant when
I went
church
over there.
came open up in Missouri.
Oh, yes.
Because we went up there and looked, and you just didn't. It wasn't for you. You didn't feel it. Yeah.
No.
And I didn't. I never mentioned it to you other than if you're interested, let me know.
Right.
And we went up there and looked at the building, prayed on the porch of.
I remember
of Brother Robert where he's at now. We sat up there on an empty building, prayed out there on the porch, and we got up there in that place. We didn't know who owned it. All I had was a card, and the guy didn't know nothing about it, and I didn't know who. But we kept looking at every little church building up that road, going, I wonder if that's it.
Yeah.
No, that ain't it. And we was looking at little buildings, and we got up there and looked at that and went, wow,
surely
is
this
that
ain't
it?
Yeah.
And then we said, how are we going to find it? Randall said, how you going to figure out whose that is? I said, watch this. I went to a Quick Mart.
I remember it.
Pulled in the Quick Mart and asked that girl, I said, I got a question. I said, who owns that big church building on the road? She goes, I don't know, but let me call my boyfriend. Got on her cell phone, called her boyfriend. Mr. Jones owns it. Okay, that's all he knows. That's all he knows. Old man Jones. So Brother Randall says, what are you going to do now? And I said, I'm going over to the water department. Went to the water department, and they said, well, we don't know them, but if you'll go over to the next door, over to the county seat, over to the courthouse. Walked in there, first lady I met, oh, yeah, I know Mr. Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, can I get any kind of contact? And sure did. And from there, Brother Robert still went, and then you're there, and then you're at Tuckerman. And, I mean, it just everything happened like a whirlwind, didn't it? So,
sure did.
And we had a lot of good times here, and that transitioned down to the education building now, but that was our sanctuary. And, man, we had those some good times. And, man, it was fun. And
yes, sir.
It was, you went through the struggles, I guess the biggest struggles I ever really dealt with from that first move and building a new building and all. Mm-hmm. You was there through all that.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it, man. I needed somebody to lean on, and Brother Randall was there. And so we had you've got to see this whole thing really happen here, hadn't you?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Just nearly. And then, when we added on, you helped with that add-on, didn't you? Didn't I hire you?
Yes.
You came down and worked part.
Time.
Yep, sure did. Yep. And then so you worked on that too. And then, so he didn't just quit. That's the thing about it. And that was just kept digging and seeing what God had. And he called me one day and said, "Hey, I was driving down the road, and he said, "Hey, are you interested in sponsoring a mission, another mission? We done had Brother Roberts going." And I said, yeah, I sure am. Where are you going?
Yeah.
He said, well, we're looking here in Jackson. Actually found a building. And I said, come back and let's talk about it. And, man, we jumped in there, and I guarantee you he'll say that we never shorted you. We wrote the checks, and we redone that building, and God blessed that place. And so I'm getting ahead of you. I'm going to let you talk about it now. So I just wanted, I appreciate you, and I just wanted everybody to know where you was in my life and where all that. But, okay, so when you decided you was going on the mission field and you found Jackson, take off from there. Yep.
Okay. I felt like the Lord was calling me somewhere. I did not know where. And I don't know the right approach to going and finding where God wants you to be. And so what I would do and what I did, and you can say I'm wrong, whatever, but God's blessed it. So, but I'll be honest, I got out a map. And I began to study maps of the United States. Not Missouri in general, but just a map. And I'd go to different places, and I would do some searches and this and that. But God kept always taking me back to Jackson for whatever reason. And I thought, well, I'm going to go up there. I'm just going to go up there and just see the town. That was my whole goal. And I was planning a trip to go up there and everything. And while I was planning, my wife gets online, looks up real estate and all that, and she said, there's a building for sale up there.
Yeah.
So I called the realtor anyway, got it set up, but we're going up there to look. I said, we'd like to look at this building if we could. And
Amen.
anyway, got it set up, and man, went in there, and I'll never forget this because I think it's an important part of this story.
Yeah.
Now, that day when we went to look at that building and look at the town and all
Yeah.
that, and of course, Brother Robert's, hour and 20, hour and
Yeah.
30 minutes from there, and he was kind of my chauffeur. He'd been in that
Yeah.
town, that area, and anyhow, when we was coming into Jackson, now I remember it like it's yesterday, brother. But when I got to that city limit sign of Jackson, never been in a town of Jackson in my life. Okay, but when I got to that city limit sign of Jackson,
Yeah.
the Holy Spirit of God spoke to my
Yeah.
heart and said, "You're home."
Yeah. Praise the Lord.
And I thought that was very weird. I brushed that off at the time,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
And but then, like I said, we went up there. We looked at the building, and big. It was big. I mean, they was asking like $110,000.
I remember
for the building,
110 is exactly right.
And which we knew, we thought, man, that's just a little bit undoable. We need something a little bit more reasonable. And anyway, made a few phone calls, not trying to go behind the realtor's back or anything. But we figured out the Free Will Baptist Association owned that building.
Yeah.
I made a phone call to that association, got a hold of this guy that he was kind of overseeing that, and I called him, talked to him, said, "Here's what we're wanting to do." And I said, "But we're just going to be starting out. We don't have nothing." I
Yeah.
said, $110,000 is a lot of money. And here I remember him say, he said, "Well, we're not firm on that." And I said,
you
"You're
knew
going
you
to
had
be
a
a whole
chance,
lot
yeah.
unfirm."
Yeah.
And he said, he said, "Shoot me an offer."
We did.
Well,
yeah.
and we did at first, and I said, I mean, I way lowballed because we
Yeah.
don't have much, and I said, "We'll give you $50,000 for it."
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, I can't do that."
Yeah.
And he said, "But I can take 65."
I knew what you was fixing
And
to say. I remember.
and we said, "We'll do that." Your church, Maple Springs, said, "We'll do that." And then that's where it really, that's where we got the start.
That was the core. You got to have the place. I don't care what
Yes.
anybody says. Everybody says, all you need is God. Well, you need God. You need a building,
Mm-hmm.
and you need people.
Yes.
So that's where you hit the ground, went to work,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a neat time, and I'm glad we were blessed enough. We just wrote the check. We
Yeah,
just
what
bought
a
the
blessing.
building and
What a blessing.
said, "Here's your building. We got it. Here's the
'Cause I
check.
didn't
We got
have
it."
it.
And people don't understand sometimes what's going on in the background, but I mean, somebody's got to pay. They don't have nothing, and so
No.
you got to pay insurance. You got to pay, and it is some work for me for a while, helping get everything. And we work together though. It's perfect. I mean, because that's why he said he's going on a mission. I said, "I got it. I'll support you, and we'll pray about it at church." And everybody was for it 100%. And
Yep.
but people don't understand. Sometimes when you start a mission, you don't have no people.
No.
You don't have no money, and it ain't begging for money. I think the sponsoring church, if you have a sponsoring church, this is my opinion on missions. If we say we're going to send you out on the field, we should be willing. I didn't say we got to, but we should be willing to pay every penny if nobody else helps you, we should take care of you.
Sure.
And so we were
Sure.
blessed to be able to do that. And I told you the same as I told Brother Robert, and I'll tell any missionary, I say, "I'm going to give you 5 years."
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that. And he did, that's all he wanted. Just give me 5 years.
Give me 5 years.
And then we'll be a self-supporting church, and y'all did it.
Yep.
And I mean, we went ahead and helped you. Just I mean, I'll tell anybody that's what you ought to do.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Well, it's a good thing, and we're going to take care of you. We're not going to let you suffer and try to help you." But what I'm saying is that's where. So now you've got there. We're in on that thing, and we're rolling. And we got Brother Robert too. We're still helping. So it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good time of my life when y'all was rolling, and man, we was coming up with the names for the church, coming up with everything. Just was every day. It was a different adventure.
Something.
We was on the phone, and you have to go up there and get lawyers and get a LLC in Missouri. So you're dealing with lawyers. It's just a lot goes on, and we ain't been sued from y'all's mission, so that's good.
Yeah, well, yeah.
People always tell me, they're like, "I can't believe y'all
Yeah.
got sued."
You
We did.
You did.
Not with his mission though. So, but so that's out there. But I mean, that's the things you got to do. People don't understand. This ain't a. Brother Roberts and Brother Randall's now looking at it, looks like, "Oh, that's just easy. We ought to just sponsor somebody." There's a lot of
Jump on it.
nuts and bolts in that thing. You got a lot going on,
Yeah.
and so when you landed there, it was kind of a good thing that in a way that had been a church before, because some of the people actually came, didn't they?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, so
Yeah.
it was, they was like, well, we're going. It is a different denomination, but they still just said we're going to go to church.
Matter of fact, and I'd like to say this, because you said that, we had even the very first Sunday we were there, one of the original people that went to the old church came to church service that day. Now we had some others, but but that lady that came that first day, one of those ladies, she still comes.
Wow,
She's
really?
still there. Yeah.
I didn't know if you still had any of the original.
One family.
Wow.
Yep.
That's Robert's same way. I mean, it was a church before, but it had been disbanded for a good while. But I know some of his folks' testimony is driving by there praying that God would put a church in there someday.
And they did.
And it's just, man, I'm telling you, God's it's a God story, and I don't mean that to sound bad. There's a God story in everything when you look at it. So how did it feel? This is I've even when I came to Maple, whether it's 20 faithful or whatever, 20 or 30 faithful, but how does it feel to walk in the first Sunday knowing it's me and my wife Irene, and we'll see what happens.
Very unsettling.
Preaching to
you didn't know who you was going to be preaching to. Now
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But now that first Sunday, I mean, what I did do, because I didn't know who was going to be there on that Sunday. I had a few people from Arkansas come up.
That's right.
To the first service,
Yep.
just to kind of help offset some of that awkwardness, But that first Sunday we had 14 locals.
Wow. See, yeah, that's
that was good. I thought that was great.
That's
now,
awesome.
Of course, I mean, for a first service, I just thought that was amazing.
Well, and we knew that that building was God sent. I mean, at that price, after you deal with stuff that I dealt with in my ministry now, that seems don't seem like much, but at the time it was quite a bit, because we still had a lot going on here at Maple. I mean, we're growing and we're building, and it's that thought, do you save that money? But when I knew it was Brother Randall, and that I knew his heart, and I knew that he ain't fluff. He's not just going for this. Yeah. I
remember this, and I want to share this. I mean, I'm kind of rewinding.
No, it's fine. Go where you need to.
But I don't even remember. No, I wasn't considering, but I'd come down on a Sunday night. I believe it's a Sunday night to preach for you. I wasn't pastoring at the time or anything, but I'd run into issues, and I mean pastoring and things. I mean just church stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's as deep as I'll tell it.
Yeah.
It's just church stuff. It'll discourage you, and things like that. And I don't know if I didn't. I guess maturity may be part of it. I don't know what all the
you've matured. I mean, I watched you mature.
But I remember that night. I come down here to preach that night, and then afterwards we went uptown here and grabbed something to eat. And right before we was fixing to leave, I don't even know if you remember this, but I looked at you and I said, "Brother Kurt, I got a serious question to ask you." And I said, "Because I know you'll just shoot me straight. You'll tell me. You'll tell me." What, whether it's regardless of what I need to hear or what I want to hear. I mean, I know you're not going to just tell me what I want to hear. You're going to tell me what's right. And I asked you this. I said, Brother Kurt, do I have what it takes to be able to pastor a church?
I remember
And without
that.
hesitation, you said, you absolutely have it.
Yeah, it just, maturity was the main thing.
Yep.
And
just getting past some of that stuff you have to deal with and buckle down and just say, this is just part of it. I mean, and that was my struggle.
Yeah.
That was my struggle. And trust me, I mean, and now I've been at Harvest for 10 years now.
Yeah.
And it's had its struggles.
But
it's just normal. I mean,
that's normal, but
you got to just got to deal with it.
But sometimes, and everybody listening can come learn something from this. Sometimes you've got to just stop and ask somebody, that you trust, to be perfectly honest. And I would have if I thought he needed more time and said, well, I think you do, but I think you need to mature some here or there, or whatever I thought.
Yep.
You got to be honest, but I knew that he wasn't going to just, and all the things that happened before wasn't because it just didn't work out, and it wasn't where there's a story behind them, and there's a good defense either way, and some of it was, it just happens.
Yeah.
But when this deal wasn't just a journey, because if you'd been wanting to do that, you would have done it when we got that building first, where Robert's at, and said, "Oh yeah, I want that." But you was following the Lord, so I knew God would do something with you. But that immaturity is a lot of these young guys that jump in with zeal. You need somebody that will be honest to you and has a little maturity and really just some wisdom that just thinks of stuff that, and that's you're preaching last night for us. I mean, I'm sitting there going, man, your preaching has always had the zeal. My gosh, he'd just rear back and was a good preacher. But man, you've matured. Your preaching is just, and I ain't even talking about the word. I mean, you always preach a good message. You put together a good message, but your wisdom and your maturity. You've been around. You've pastored for up at 10 years at that mission. So it was awesome. And but I would have told you the truth if I thought. I mean, Brother Shannon's sitting there listening. I mean, he was at that same spot and asked me nearly the same. I mean, we just met and he just nearly talking about what he was going to do, and I just looked at him and I said, "Dude, are you really ready? You really think you need to be pastoring the church?" Mm-hmm. He's fixing to go on a video call, and that was on his testimony, but I'm telling it for him, I guess. You got a thumbs up, yeah. But seriously, he looked at me like, "I'm so glad you said that."
Absolutely,
because I was fixing to go on another video call. I mean,
because that's what he thought he was supposed to do.
He just thought that's what he's supposed to do, and I said, you think you're really ready?" And he goes, No. I said, "I'm not telling you never pastor again. I'm telling you take some time for your family, get it right in your head and your heart, get everything. You'll know when." And I'll be, next thing you know, he's coming here faithful, and his job was for here. Mm-hmm. And if he'd been on video calls, he might have been in a church right now that's doing great, and he might have been one that another discouragement, and go, that didn't work. But if I had not told him that and just not being honest. And just, that's what I do. Go via a call. But I just thought, man, the things you're telling me, you're not ready to pastor. Mm-hmm. But I guess I'm never mean about it. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I can't sugarcoat.
Well, and that's the type. And you know me. I'm the type of guy. I want you to be honest with me.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, if that would have been a you're not ready, I could have handled it. I mean,
you could have, and I would have told you, but probably one of the, and then we'll get on with the next step, and we'll we get done with this part of it as far as the mission and where it's at now. Church, they're never missions. It's a mission. You're going on a mission to build a church.
Absolutely.
And boy, if that bunch don't listen to my podcast, but if they did, they'd be like, "Well, no, it's a mission status, mission this." Well, mission ain't even in my King James Bible, but I know what Paul was doing. He was on a mission to plant churches.
Yes, sir.
It's a church.
Yep.
You never was a missionary. You was a pastor on a mission.
Absolutely.
There we go. I'm not against somebody says somebody's a missionary. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that
it's just terminology.
Terminology.
But yeah.
But one of the most mature things you ever did for me, and it's kind of emotional. I still get choked up about it. So after you was Brother Earl. Brother Earl Stott was my assistant for a good while. Perfect. I mean, went from you, it was great, and you just had to go on, and I knew someday, and Brother Earl rose in. He's at the end of his ministry, pastored for 41 years, and and he was afraid God's going to put him on a shelf.
Yeah.
And then I had said, when I heard that he'd resigned his last church, I said, I love him, and we're good friends, and if he ever comes to church out here, I mean, that's one of them God things where I just like, God, if he rolled in here and visited and stays a little while, if he wanted it, I'd hire him because I trust him. I just had that. God just had showed me. And sure enough, he rose up. Next thing you know, I'm like, "Hey, would you?" And he was so happy. Just, he loved it. I mean, he loved it. And we're having BBS. He walks in on a Monday night. All them grandkids holding his hand. And I said, "Boy, you have got," I said, "You are in heaven." Basically, is what I said right out there.
Yeah.
Brother Earl, look at you, man. You got all them kids. You're just basically, we call it in heaven.
Right.
He died that night.
Yep.
And that was that day, that morning. And we dealt with that. That was tough. Miss Catherine and I was up there with her and the family and all this. Right in the middle of VBS, and I'm teaching class on VBS. So we had Monday night, and I taught class. We have adult VBS over, and I'm teaching that. and we didn't have the new building then, of course, because Brother Earl never got to be a part of that. But, and I mean, I'm just like dealing with the family, and I've got a lot going on. Well, there was a phone call, and it was you. And I don't know how big a gap that was between you'd been gone from anyway, but there was that gap.
Mm-hmm.
And you called me and said, "Hey, I'm praying for you. I know what you're going. I know you got a lot going on with Brother Earl." And so, and you said, "Hey, You didn't say, can I or should I?" He just said, "I'm coming down there, and I'm going to do whatever you want." I said, "I want you to teach tonight." He goes, "Got it." Just took it, and that's the things that you don't see every day. That's, man, I was in another world.
Yeah.
It's like, whew. And I never worried about it. I was like, he's got it. I didn't bother. You just get it.
Yep.
And you did. So you didn't ask me what I was teaching. You just said, I got this. And because usually I got a theme with it. And I remember, man, you just took over, and that was a big lift right there. I appreciate it.
Praise the Lord, brother. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. And but we'd had such a history, brother.
I know.
I mean, we've been friends, and I knew, and you'd been there for me, brother, so many times. And I mean, it's just like the Spirit done said, you got to be there for him. It ain't if he needs you. I mean, it's you got to go. And that's
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
It
was an honor.
Well, and there was others. It ain't like all my other buddies didn't call us. You need anything?
Right.
But you just called and said, "Hey, I'm going to come down. I know you're in VBS. I'm going to come down there and help you."
Mm-hmm.
You didn't ask. You just said, "I'm coming." And all the others would have, I could have called any of them, and they would have done it. And I'm not too prideful, too, and I'm not too, I just knew, man, I've got stuff I got to do as a pastor, and I've lost my assistant. And come on, and he just run with all the stuff that I did in VBS and never missed and it helped that you knew this church and you knew all the people and the heartbeat of it, so it was perfect, man. But people don't understand those. That's well, they always say the definition of the best friend. I heard this one time. The definition of a best friend. They sent it out everywhere. Like it was a big contest. Like whoever can come up with the best definition of a friend. And the number one thing they come up with that was the number one wanted was a friend is a person that shows up when everybody else leaves. And well, that'll help you in the ministry.
Yes, it will.
Demas is going to forsake you. He's going to go.
Yep.
And I don't hate them people that leave, and I've still got people I'm friendly with that used to go to church here, and I don't. But you know what I mean. But man, it's them that's there when times are tough, and you go, and Brother Randall's one of them, and so that's why when he said, "Will you sponsor me?" I said, "Absolutely," and I said, "As long as it's just me sponsoring you," because I said we're going. If you let Maple Springs sponsor you, we will. And you say, "You didn't vote on it first?" I know. I went ahead and went with what God told me, and I'd say it's been very successful. Which our people, they let their pastor for one thing, but they love these guys, and that's a mission we love. So you got in the what I call the old building, and buddy, that thing took off. It's done good. You got great people. God bless you with musicians and everything. And so you kept saying, "Hey, we got to move, so we got to get a bigger building," because there wasn't no parking. Yeah. And we looked at buying some houses, knocking them down. We tried everything, and it just wouldn't work. Yeah. But then all of a sudden, I kept saying, "Man, there's got to be something." I went up there preached revival for you in 21. I know. Yeah. Because it was snowing in April. I've got a video of it snowing. I said, "Well, it's spring revival." But we drove around looking for just anything, land for sale. But then what happened? And now where you're at now, what happened? Your church grew first, and you needed
of course the church grew, and I mean, and we needed somewhere else. I mean, we had no other room for growth. I mean, where we was at, and we knew we had to do something. And anyway, we noticed this building, our current building, had come up for sale. Anyway, we was looking at it online, and it's I mean, over 16,000 square foot building.
Yeah, it's exactly what you needed.
And I looked at that, and I'm like, this is a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's a big deal. And and it is. I mean,
Yeah.
and when we looked at that, and I mean, we set up a meeting, man. We got some of my men. We went out there and we kind of toured the place, if you will, looking at everything, and I could walk through there, and I mean, if you know me, well, I'm a tightwad.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like to spend money.
Yeah.
And I try to be very, try to make sure the church is taken care of. And so my thought is and people, and you can get out there and you can say lack of faith. You can just say whatever you want. But I wanted, when you step off into something like that, you better make sure God's in it. Because if not,
You don't need a financial burden.
absolutely you don't. And
Well, they're always a burden, but I mean,
They're always
more
a
than your
burden.
church can
yes,
handle.
Yes. But I mean, we sit down, we crunch numbers, and even by numbers, we knew this was very feasible.
Yeah.
You know, and and that was 2 years ago, and I won't talk numbers per se, but I'll just say we got in that building a lot less than what you'd think, and
the asking price really, when you called me and told me what they wanted for it, I thought I'd buy it, but don't buy it right now. Don't tell me you'll buy it right now.
right.
Because you done had a plan. You said, here's what I'm going to do. And I said, we got, I ain't got nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just your pastor friend, because people say what they want to about missions. Maple Springs, I told them I'd give you 5 years. That didn't mean I dropped you. We helped you. We still help you. We're going to help you. Him and Brother Robert are missions that we went on a mission up there, started church, put a church in. We're always going to help that church.
Right.
But the every month financial that we place to live and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But when you said, hey, here's what they want, and it's high, and you said, I think I'm going to talk to the guy and see what, and I said, well, yeah, go see where you can get where you're comfortable.
Yep.
But I said, but at the end of the day, what they was asking wasn't that much. But then we just got done building a $4 million building.
Right. It was, yeah.
But I'd still, even with your church size, I was thinking up there. I mean, I'm telling you, folks, he got a steal of a deal, because it's worth more than probably what they was asking in a way, because it was just like everything you needed.
Mm-hmm.
And really it wasn't, it was, I know it was going to put you in even more of a financial bind, but I was thinking, but at the end of the day, that still wasn't that much money.
Mm-hmm.
If you tried to build from the ground up what you got, you couldn't
not
get
even
nowhere
close.
close.
No worry.
So it was a good deal, but it needed to be down where you, and I don't remember how many 100,000 they dropped off it, but it was you come,
I mean, they was asking over $1 million.
And you got her down, but anyway,
But I mean, and I don't care to say it if you wanted.
I don't care.
I mean, anyway, I was dealing with the guy trying to negotiate this building, and he kept coming back to like 900,000.
Yeah.
That was my bottom dollar.
Yeah.
900,000, my bottom dollar, and I wouldn't budge.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I let him rest for.
Yeah.
I guess I said if the Lord's not in it, I mean, we rocked on there. I don't know, I don't remember if it was a month or 2 months. I mean, it was a little space.
Lord was probably working on him too, though.
And and finally, it got to the point to where I guess he called realtor or something. He said, he said, call him and ask him if he'll. That guy asked me whatever it was, and I said, nope. I said, I told you. I said, I will give you $800,000.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
This is our top dollar. And finally, I mean, reluctantly, I mean, he was trying to nickel and dime everything. I said, no, this is it. And anyway, I mean, I got it not
worked.
for what he was wanting, but for what I was wanting.
It worked.
And then what we paid for our old building, okay.
Yeah.
And then by the time, I mean, we sold the old building for 2.5 times what we gave.
Yeah,
for
that's
it,
what I'm saying. It was.
We got everything down to.
That was 2 years ago in September. Part of that was.
Yes, that was when we
that selling
started
old
the
one?
process.
Or that was the process.
That's when that was.
I
when
know
we
I was in
actually
Kansas
took
deer hunting,
possession of it
signing
in September.
stuff.
Yep, right.
Electronic, because you was like, "Am I bothering you?" I said, "No, I'm good. Just call me. I'm technically on vacation, but people say we're on vacation. But I was making sure that deal got done, because technically it was still in Maple Springs. Some of anyway,
the old building. Yeah.
But the main thing is, see what we're trying to say is God's in all this thing, and it was awesome. And so they got the nice facilities now. Went and worked on it, man, and it's nice. It is just perfect, and God's blessed, and your people's good, and just been blessed, man.
Yes, sir.
And I'm so
Yes,
proud
sir.
you're pastor and got good people. And he'll call me and say, hey, what would you do? And I'll call him and Brother Robert now. Hey, I want to run something by you. And that means I think I know what I'm going to do, but talk me into it or out of it. Or we don't just agree. I mean, if he says, hey, have you thought about it? And I'll go, hey, yeah, that's, and we don't do that every day, but there's just sometimes, man, a pastor's, it feels good to talk to somebody that you know will tell you the truth, just like you said.
Sir.
And think if we got advice from people that didn't tell you what you really need to be told, no telling where we'd be.
That's right.
So we run with a group pretty, they'll tell you, they tell us some stuff that we don't want to hear.
Yeah.
You know, Brother Robert will.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he's, but man, we've had so much fun together. And your church is doing good now, and Brother Roberts, and we're all blessed, that little group of buddies we got. And,
yes, sir.
And so if you're just looking for it to, we'll do another segment here, and we'll talk a little bit about church growth, okay? And what, that kind of the modern church, just, I don't even mean worldly church, I mean just even every church in this modern world we're living in. We'll talk about that on another podcast, but anyway, you've done a great thing, and Sister Irene's jumped in there with you through it all, and just didn't. When you talk about expectation, you don't have no idea what's fixing to happen. You just take off to a town and get after it, and God's blessed y'all. So,
yes, sir.
I'll tell you, we're going to end this one, and thank you for tuning in. I know it's been more testimony than anything, but you can come from where Brother Randall was, and I mean some tough places. Obviously, maybe you need to be saved. Maybe you need to just trust in Jesus and pray and ask Him to save you. And Brother Randall, you see what God did with that. When you put the clay in the potter's hands, you know. And we're not perfect. We're not. Gosh, we ain't even in no elite group of pastors or nothing like that. But I promise you this, that the field that God put us in, we pastor in the field we're in.
Amen.
You'll pastor in that place you're at, and I will too. And we love our people, and it's awesome. So thanks for tuning in. We've got a lot more funny stuff. Gosh, we could go on for hours with that stuff, man. We've done some. When Brother Randall starts laughing and his shoulder starts doing that, you know he's giggling, and he's got it going then, boy. So, but anyway, we'll talk about that some other time. Thank you for tuning in, and be watching for our next video. I'll have Brother Randall for another one. Thank you. God bless.